The scientific community is continuously expanding. Ongoing research is constantly taking place across such a vast span of fields, subjects, and disciplines. No matter what it is that you are interested in or how many news stories you read, there is always bound to be some new research project, discovery, or finding that will be news to you. Some findings, while fascinating, bring a sincere level of concern along with them. So today, here at Unexplained Mysteries, we will be taking a look at 3 recent discoveries made across a number of different fields, some of which may take you by surprise. Chernobyl wolves could be spreading mutations in Europe. The 1986 Chernobyl disaster left its mark on our history books, though its impact in our present remains somewhat unknown. In the explosion of the reactor itself, 2 engineers lost their lives. It was then in the emergency response that further injuries were acquired, with 237 people who were working at the time being hospitalized, 28 of whom passed away within the next 3 months. Additional fatalities that occurred from those impacted didn't seem to be linked to radiation particularly. But that does not mean that there is no need for concern. In truth, we know very little about how the Chernobyl disaster will impact the public and general population. Exposure-related fatalities are difficult to determine with precision, and so the true effect this disaster has had remains uncertain. It has been noted that there has been an increase in childhood thyroid cancer in 2011, with a possible correlation being hypothesized between the two. Research into the effects of radiation exposure long-term is ongoing. After the disaster, to limit the detrimental impact of radiation, the USSR built the Chernobyl nuclear power plant sarcophagus. This is a large steel and concrete structure that covers the nuclear reactor that had seen the disaster, namely nuclear reactor number 4. By building the sarcophagus, the hope was that the most dangerous aspect of the disaster would remain largely contained, limiting the possibility of radioactive contamination. Furthermore, this sits within a larger zone that is highly restricted, known as the Chernobyl Exclusion Zone, often known as the 30-kilometer zone, which prohibits people from entering this unsafe area. While we humans are not likely to forget the horrific event and can heed the warnings regarding the dangers of radiation and those of radiation contamination, the same cannot be said for the wildlife in the surrounding area. In the north of Ukraine, where the site of Chernobyl sits, there are several European grey wolves, alongside other rather large species, who call the Chernobyl Exclusion Zone their home. While no people occupy this space anymore, just like us, animals can experience severe and long-term health issues from radiation. We are yet to conclude the degree to which radiation can cause mutations throughout species. A 2018 experiment saw researchers monitor the activity of 13 of these wolves, using collars with the ability to measure their radiation exposure. Predictably, the animals saw an increase in radiation when passing through areas that we knew to be zones of high contamination. What was a little more surprising was that one of the wolves managed to wander 250 miles out of the contaminated region, eventually making their way back to Russia. Jim Beasley, a wildlife ecologist, based at the University of Georgia and the leader of the study, which was published in the European Journal of Wildlife Research, mentioned that this was the first time we have recorded long-distance wolf migration from the Chernobyl exclusion zone and outwards into the surrounding areas. He continued to explain that male wolves of about this age traveling great distances is something that we can expect, since this is common mating behavior, though it does provide to us evidence that there are significant animal populations within the area impacted by the Chernobyl disaster. With there being a high number of wolves existing within the region, it falls in line with our expectations to see these creatures exploring further, looking to establish themselves elsewhere. Michael Byrne, a researcher of animal movement and ecology at the University of Missouri, said, "You'd expect that as a population of any animal, once it gets to a certain level, can only hold so many, so young animals will disperse." Studies that have previously been conducted revealed that the exposure to the radiation has the ability to cause mutations and other health hazards, though this research was primarily focused upon smaller creatures such as birds, rodents, and insects. These studies have revealed that an animal's movements do have the capability to spread radioactive contaminants through their movements. we don't have a definitive idea as to whether this same information is applicable to animals such as wolves. It's definitely a plausible outcome. Some of the mutations that have been observed in creatures exposed thus far have included tumors, cataracts, smaller brain sizes, and some developmental differences and abnormalities. Regarding this specific study, it's worth noting that these harmful mutations likely would limit the movement of a wolf, and so one able to travel great distances is not as likely to have been impacted by the radiation levels in too extreme of a manner. Overall, the truth is that there is a lot of mystery left to be uncovered here. Scientists record a record-breaking extreme rogue wave off the coast of Canada. Rogue waves, which are also known as storm waves, are those twice the size of all the waves that surround it, according to a definition presented by the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. Their large, unpredictable nature makes them highly dangerous, especially to nearby ships. In late 2020, a 58-foot-tall rogue wave was recorded by the Marine Lab's data systems, and after analysis of this observation, it has been theorized that this could very likely be the largest rogue wave that we have ever managed to get on record. The findings of this research can be found published in the scientific reports. This wave was captured by a marine sensor buoy 4 miles away from the shore as part of the Marine Lab's Coast-Aware platform. This mammoth wave clocked in as being more than 3 times bigger than any of the waves coming before or after it, earning it the title of the most extreme rogue wave known to have been recorded to date. There have been rogue waves that have previously reached greater heights, with one in 1995 measuring approximately 84 feet in height. However, this was just twice the size of those around it, making the drastic change in the newest 2020 wave be considered the more extreme of the two. Research into rogue waves and similar phenomena has the potential to be applied to developing more accurate coastal intelligence that can, in turn, aid the efficiency of marine safety. It's very rare that we encounter rogue waves, and so there is plenty about them that we simply do not know. Scientists discover an expanding crack on the moon. In the 21st century, a great deal of research in space is focused on places a little further afield than our own solar system, though there are still discoveries to be made a little closer to home. In 2020, scientists observed an unusual and unexpected crack on the surface of the moon. Researchers that have been monitoring the split have said it seems to be growing, getting larger piece by piece. Once this had been established, a larger study carried out by the Smithsonian Institute looked at this strange occurrence via sensors that had been deployed during the Apollo 17 mission. Data from the sensors seems to suggest that the crack is the result of a shock, likely of a magnitude comparable to 5.5 on the Richter scale. Here on Earth, an earthquake of that categorization would cause a fair amount of damage to buildings. The seismic activity on our natural satellite seems to pose significant issues for human research opportunities. Like our planet, the condition of the moon is not static. It is cracking, changing, shifting under a variety of different stresses. We can only observe these evolutions from a distance. The scientific community continues to be hard at work, uncovering frightening truths and fascinating phenomena. We can only wait to see what research will be unveiled next. But what are your thoughts on these discoveries? Be sure to let us know in the comment section and help us grow this community while working to solve these unexplained mysteries. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more videos.